Hello! Welcome back to Sover. I haven't made a video in 6 months, but worry not because I have been very busy in that time and I made 4 games. Last year, I only managed to make 2, but those were pretty big games. It was the Nonogram and the Cursed game that you can still play by clicking the older games button, as well as these 2 even older ones. But if you click the newer games, you can see the 4 games that I managed to finish and publish. I started a lot more games since then, but these are the only ones that are available to the public so far. And the only reason I can make games so much faster now is because I made my own game engine. Everything still runs in the web browser and it still uses JavaScript, but the way that the games are stored are very different. And I say I published 4 games because I'm referring to these 4. But actually, this game selection thing is also a game technically because it's saved the same way as the games are. I won't go too much in depth as how the engine works in this video because in my next video I will actually go deeper in the technical aspects of it. But in this one I would just like to showcase what the engine is currently capable of and also focus on this game in this video because I want to make a video on all of these 4 games and every game I make in the future, and I would also like to make a separate video on explaining how I made all of the individual games. And I already recorded 4 videos before this one, so hopefully I can release videos way more frequently now, at least those other 4 ones. And yeah, if you would like to play any of these games, you can go to sover.github.io. If you like to play the game that a video is about, you can click the description as well, because those links can have the name of the game in the URL and then you can start out in that game and you don't have to go through this menu thingy. And this will probably hurt the video a bit, but I ordered the games by how much I like them, so I think Not So Quick Save is the best game out of these ones, or at least the ones I like the most. I absolutely love this game and I love the video I made on it as well. The Shapeshifting Minesweeper is also a really great game, especially if you like Minesweeper. I mean, you like it already. If you hate Minesweeper, it's probably not the one for you. But it's a really unique twist that I've never seen before, and it's the game that sucked me in the most for sure when I was supposed to be working on other games. The Countries Quiz is just a game where you can learn the countries and a fun fact about each of them. It took the most time to make because I had to make a fun fact of almost 200 countries, and I'll talk more about how that went in the respective videos. And this game that we're talking about today is the one that's the least special to me, but I still think it's a good game. As it says here, wait. As a fun fact, if you press the backtick button in any of these games, and then you press one of the numbers, you can draw anything on the screen that you'd like, and you just have to press right click to delete all of those. But those can stay on the screen if you'd like that. But yeah, as it says here, this is my take on a game called Interesting Choices by Icy Puzzles. Okay, just realized I misspelled their name because the S is supposed to be part of... 1 second. Okay, as I was saying, this is my take on the game Interesting Choices by Icy Puzzles, which is this game. You just press buttons and you want to make your score as big as possible. And on every press there's some new rule that happens, like here, whatever you press gets added to your score. Now you can remove a button and you can divide the score and then add to it again, and the button becomes negative and then more buttons, and it's like... It's a beautiful game. And having played that, I really wanted to extend it, and then I realized that this would be the perfect game to develop my engine for. So while I do think that is the least interesting game, it was the most important one. So every initial decision I made about the engine was while I was making this game. So this took way longer than it would take right now. But okay, let's start it. Some of the games just have a quick quit button at the top left corner, top right. Some of the games have a quick button in the top right corner, but this one has my channel icon button that you can click to quit the game and go back to the start. And also I just like how this looks in the corner. It's basically the same game with some extra additions. And instead of just wanting to increase your score, you want to reach these specific values. So it starts out with the add score. So you add whatever you click. Let's add a 6. And then you remove a button. But next, you're gonna divide the score. Wait, I can still draw. Next, you're gonna divide the score. So if you remove the 1 button, you can't divide by 1 anymore, so it's better to remove like the 3. And then divide by 1, add 6, make a button negative, like 4, and then you get the option number amount of random buttons, so you can get 6 random buttons. And as you can see, the buttons actually stack, which is really important for what's about to happen very soon. But yeah, technically you have 2 5 buttons and 2 4s and 2 1s. So if you... Okay, let's reach 14 real quick. But now if I remove one of the 5s, I still have one left. Okay, but this is where the game gets actually kind of interesting. You can override whatever is currently happening with these top buttons. And instead of dividing a score, now I can multiply it by like 4. Yes. So yeah, you just want to reach these values and then you have more and more opportunities to change the score. Okay, now I can duplicate a button, which is also the same thing that was in the original game as well. So for example, you can duplicate the 6 times because it's a 6, but then you lose 6 times 50 score, but you want to reach negative 564, so it's actually really convenient. And obviously these top numbers are randomized every time you play the game. Yeah, I can duplicate the 6 again to get close to this one. Oh yeah, and the game keeps track of how many times you clicked, but you don't really have to pay attention to that. But if you want to optimize it perfectly, then there's like a reason for it. Okay, I reached the next one now. This was also part of the original. I think the ones after it are new, but I'm not sure. I also think multiplayer score wasn't in the original game. Oh yeah, also, I forgot to say this, but I was supposed to. I didn't just want to remake an already existing game. And in fact, the original game has an extra puzzle kind of hidden in it. And you can beat the entirety of my game and still not know how to beat the original game. So I think that's a really cool part of it. And I really recommend playing that game as well, obviously, and trying to figure out how to beat that one. We had the merge one, just select an option and then the other ones get merged into one button and then you can make that many random buttons, for example. And now we have a lot of buttons and now we can merge it again and it gets more and more. Okay, I reached a weird score. Like I don't need to have, but I can multiply by a negative number as well. So let's try to do that real quick. And I could divide by this. Beautiful. Yeah, these top buttons round your score to the nearest number, so it's okay to have decimal points. Okay, I'm actually gonna pull out a calculator now. Okay, now what? There's a way you can easily reach any number here, which is how I usually play this game. But I kind of don't want to spoil it for anyone who would actually like to try this game. So I'm trying to play it in the harder way where you actually care about the numbers. Okay, I am kind of close now, but also not really. I have a really wild idea. Wait, would that work? You divide by 5 and then 3. And then make a 5 negative and add it twice. And then multiply by 3 and 5. Oh my god, I'm 1 off, wait, +1. Let's go! That was somehow perfect. Okay, this is a new button. Your option becomes squared. So now I can make a 25 button, for example. And a 16. And a 9. And a 4, which I already had. Okay, but I skipped over one of the weirdest ones that I kind of want to have, obviously. But yeah, technically, to beat the game, you only have to unlock the last 2 buttons. I didn't want it to only be the infinity one, because it kind of doesn't help that much. But I would like to unlock all of them. Okay, now I can set my option to a random number between 0 and 1. So basically, I can just make these kind of buttons, which obviously works really well with multiplication and division. Okay, now I'm within like 4,000. Can I make a 4,000 with the squares? Probably not. This is 6,000. I do have a 1,500. So what if I just use that one? Okay, I went overboard a bit. Now just a 4. Let's go. This is not the intended way to beat the game, but it's beautiful. Okay, now this one is the by far the best button of all time. Your option and score switch, which means, for example, I can make the 0 and my score switch. And now I have a button that does this. But as you can see now, I only have to unlock the infinity. Or so you would think. But let's say that's the only thing I need. Of course, I can just square this button, for example, until it becomes infinity, because that's how numbers work. And I can make infinity amounts of random buttons. So all of these are infinity. And I can add infinity and I have an infinity score. And a secret button unlocked. The final boss. Yeah, and this is just So you're not stuck at infinity, so you can make your score become like 500 or like 2500 or whatever you want. It's like a reset basically. Okay, now, again, I don't want to use the most obvious solution. Okay, I have a plan. Just hear me out on this. First, I want an 11. So now I have an 11. Now I also want a 37 and a 33. Don't ask why. Okay, and now I misremembered. I need a 31 instead of a 33. So I do 31 times 37 times 11. And now I just add 2 to it. And that's my first number that I need. Now I need 23. I also need 103, I hope. Yes. Also now these buttons are overlapping. I didn't expect anyone to play like this, even though I'm playing like this. Okay, now I just need a very simple 139. Now if I do 2 times 3 times 3 times 23 times 103 times 139 times 12,619, then I do. I reached the end, let's go. In only 432 clicks. We actually need one more click to beat the game. If you click the end, then you win and you get thanked for contributing. Now if you click any button, then you win. And I have a score of 433. And yeah, that's about it for the game. I think it's a really fun game, even though it's very simple. Also, something I forgot to mention, but it's pretty obvious, I think, is that all of my games use a custom-made font that I made for one of my games that was called Cursefont, and it's called the Curse font. And as you can see, the capital letters are inverted, and the eyes have a star in them and stuff like that. And honestly, I'm really used to the font now, but I think if you're not used to it, it's a bit hard to read. But I hope that's not a big issue. But yeah, this is an example of what kind of game I could make with the engine, but obviously I can make like basically any kind of game. For example, the Minesweeper one has a board and you can zoom and have a scroll bar, but I didn't have implemented for the fascinating possibilities. Also for the countries quiz, you can see the whole world. And I'm currently trying to implement a way that I can make shapes using curves, just like how I made my font as well. Because after using curves so long, I realized the true power that they have. So I made like a simple program where I can make shapes, and I could have these shapes be on like buttons or in like a grid or something that could make the graphics be way cooler. And of course they could be like colored and also as like a gradient. As you can see in the background here, this is a gradient. Probably will look way worse on YouTube because usually the compression messes up everything. But yeah, also the buttons, the button borders here have a gradient. For example, the Minesweeper bombs. I don't have a bomb here, right? They also have a gradient. And it like works for every shape and it's beautiful. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but in the background there's a moon that actually is tied to the real world time. So I started recording this at 7 p.m. and now it's 8 p.m. So the moon went a bit further. And I tried to show this somehow. Okay, I tried to fade this in very slowly because it would be a flashbang, but this is how it looks when you open my website during the morning. And now you can see the sun. And this was actually the same in my old website as well. But the sun and moon used to be a square, but now it's a circle. It's a huge improvement. But yeah, that was my first game that I made with the engine. As you can see, while it was blue, 1 second. Sorry for the flashbang again, I'll try to slowly show this. I currently have 11 games that I started and I only released 4 of them so far. But yeah, now I try to make all of the videos for these games. Also, get back to black. Once I have the videos, I want here to be some buttons, the link to these videos, and that's why there's a big emptiness here. Also, there's a high score system, so now we save that I beat the game in 433 clicks. And that also exists for all the other games. I wanted to make like a trophy thingy for these, but I haven't made that yet. But I might do it in the future. And it could be a game that only unlocks once you have enough high scores or something. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and you're interested in trying out my games. And I hope you're excited for my future videos, especially the not so quick save one because that's beautiful. If you're only gonna watch one more video, watch that one. That should come out in like 2 weeks, hopefully, because the next video will be the behind the scenes in the whole engine and this game in particular. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and have a fascinating possibility.